So here we are with Bryan Regan, one of the Titan Aerobatic Team members. Number 2, right?
That would be me.
Yeah.
Number 2 on the right wing.
Number 2 on the right
Most
wing.
of the time.
Most of the time?
Yeah.
So how did you get into flying?
Since I was a kid, I really chased it up until I was about 13 or 14. I mean, I joined once I made some connections. At first, I didn't have anybody in my family that was involved in aviation.
Okay.
And so they were kind of reluctant to expose me to it like everything else they had us do, piano lessons, dance lessons, all that stuff. But they finally gave in, and my mom got to know the wives of the pilot community around town. And she introduced me to a couple of them, and they were, some of the main people involved in general aviation around here. Charlie Milam had a collection of airplanes. Aubrey Vidrine was his chief pilot, his corporate pilot.
Okay.
And they had a Convair 440 that they flew around. And his 2 boys, I became friends with them, Bubba and Brad, and they've pretty much been mainstays in my flying. Bubba and I got to be good friends, and he dragged me around, got me into Civil Air Patrol.
Okay.
I had already joined the local EAA chapter and then national chapter.
So who was
meet people? Red Rail was involved.
Oh yeah,
of course.
So who taught you to fly?
So Brad did.
Okay.
Brad Vidrine. And
how old were you?
I was, Well, so what happened is I got to high school and I had been doing all this stuff, catching a bunch of rides, and I was really not getting any support behind it, and I couldn't see it happening. A lot of things. And my grades weren't that good. I was like, oh, man. And so if I couldn't do it, I didn't want to be around it. And I got to high school and I just turned my back on it, and but kind of hard to avoid. I was going to school at Como, that area.
Yeah.
And back then, they were spraying right outside the window.
Oh, you got crop dusters
and when
all
they went by,
yeah.
I couldn't pay attention to anything else.
Yeah.
Couldn't get away from it.
That's right.
That's right. About 6 or 7 years went by, and I don't know. I didn't have any vision for my future, and I thought, the air show's in town. So I went to the air show, and I walked on a ramp, and I heard, "Hey, Bo, what's up?" And I'm like, turned the first airplane there with a T6, and my friend Bubba was sitting on top of it.
Oh.
And so, now he was a professional pilot, and he, kind of started asking me, well, why? How come you never got your license? Why this? Why that? And I said, well, this and that, and money was a big issue. And he says, well, look, my little brother will teach you for a couple of $1,000, I was like, oh.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Well, that sounds good, I'll think about it, And at the end of the show here in Lafayette, he flew the airplane back to New Iberia, and he took a friend of ours' wife with him, and I drove the friend out to New Iberia.
Okay.
And so when they landed there, and we watched him do a few tricks, and I'm like, well, that's cool. And he said, get in. I'm like, okay. So I got in the airplane. He took me out, T6, did loop and a roll, and I was hooked.
Oh,
that was it. And like next day, I was tracking down his brother at UL. No cell phones, mind you.
Yeah.
I don't know how we track each other down back then, but
what year was this?
This would have been 1986.
Okay.
In April, late April, and by the first week of June, I was ready for my check ride.
Wow.
And then I waited for thunderstorms for 3 weeks,
Yes.
and and I finally got it. But and then I spent all my college money and most of it, and so I took a break from college to get this flying bug out of my system.
Yeah.
I couldn't get away from it. And so,
are you still on that break from college?
Yeah. Did you ever go back?
it took me 17 years to go back. But,
okay.
And I finished online,
Nice.
So I was glad to do it. It was, really by the time I felt like it was, I guess the best word is waning a little bit. It's just kind of marginally ticked down, right?
Yeah.
You know, I still have the interest and desire. By that point, I was in a career, and I was Barnstorming with the Red Baron Squadron.
Okay.
And they were paying me to learn how to do this stuff. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
Can't say no
I
to
just
that.
picture you flying through a barn and all that, like
Pretty much.
like the movies, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the V-Dreams have always been mainstays, and I kept in touch with Bubba, and I knew he had a new job out in New Iberia, and he said, "Yeah, you got to come ride with me." I was like, "Well, what are you doing?" He said, "Well, we're hauling freight." I was like, "Freight?" And he said, "Yeah, like for UPS, Beach 18 and stuff
Okay.
like." I said, "Wait a minute, you mean?" Like in the movies,
Yeah.
round motor engine,
Yeah.
airplanes flying through the night. And like, yeah, it's like, oh, count me in.
Yeah.
And so I started riding along with him on that. I just was there every day, all day, every day, and learned a lot from it. And then I, got a few ratings. I started logging any deadhead leg.
Yeah.
It could be a 0.2, and I got a bunch of 0.2s in there. In the meantime, his brother Brad had started ferrying a Stearman for a guy here in Lafayette who did a wing walking act.
Oh, okay.
A wing act with his Stearman, a guy named Earl Cherry. And
I've heard of his
yeah.
name before. Yeah.
and he had an FBO here. And, after a couple of years just overdoing it at this freight company, Brad walked in and he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm ready for another job,"
Yeah.
And so he went to work for the freight company, and he said, and we got to talking about the ferry job, and he said he just didn't want to do it anymore, and kind of a summer deal anyway.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I'll take it. I'll
That's
take
looking
it.
around for
Yeah.
you folks out
Yeah.
there. It's like, yeah, it's on. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go over there and talk to this guy. And most of the time I'd spent at the hangar at the freight company was working with a mechanic, learning everything about these engines and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Well, this is the same engine on the Stearman, on the 450 Stearman. I was like, okay. And I went in and talked to him, and he was showing me the airplane. It was about half taken apart. I said, well, look, I've got this much tail dragger time. I got no Stearman time, but I know where I can, get some.
Yeah.
I know this engine like the back of my hand. I said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And he may have only heard the last part there,
Whatever it takes.
but
He had you
after-
working on him?
well, and I had already started tinkering with it right
Yeah.
there, and and he said, I got to go do something up front, and he'd come back, and then next morning it was still unfinished.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't leave it unfinished. The next morning I went in there and didn't see him, and I went in and just started working
Just
on it.
snuck in.
And he came down, and he never said you're hired. He
Yeah.
just started talking like I had the job,
Yeah.
like
Like
you were
well,
already-
when you're out there doing all this stuff.
Yeah,
you
just
need to-
start-
okay. I said, oh, so that means I got it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I did that, and I did maintenance for him in between shows, and I did that for 3 years. And I ended up with about 600 hours of Stearman time and a few other toys they had around there. But that was the main thing I got. And then I'd gotten to know a bunch of people in the airshow business. And I was kidding around with some of the Red Baron guys. Oh, you guys hiring? I said, well, as a matter of fact, oh. And
Never
so,
hurts to ask, huh?
yeah. And so what they did was the main thrust of their program was promoting Red Baron Pizza. So there were there were hundreds of local chains, grocery chains around the country at that time instead of the 5 we have now, right?
Yeah.
And so there were always new people to work with, store owners, store managers, salespeople, that kind of stuff. The main thing we did was give rides to those folks. We'd come into town, or our marketing people would set up a little event, bring out pizza ovens, cook pizza, and we do rides. And in addition to that, they had an airshow team, which really just gave credence to the ride program, really
Yeah.
to the pilots, to the the image and the brand. And so you got to figure all of us were doing the rides. They just made sure that when there was an air show, those 4 people were in place.
Go do it, yeah.
Yeah, and I started. There were 7 others. They started from scratch. You know, when I got the job, they, I was like, oh, I hope I can pull this off.
Yeah.
You know, I did the flying. I was a little nervous, and he said, well, if you want it, it's yours. Like, okay. Yeah, breathed a sigh of relief because I didn't have anything. I had burned my bridge here.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately. We would do 6 to 8 weeks in the desert out near Tucson. We had a aerobatic box
Just
out there
practicing.
to practice in. And we'd pick them up. This is, February or March. Usually, I think, third week of February, we'd pick the airplanes up in Minnesota.
Is that so? That's where they kept them and maintained them. And
Right.
stuff,
That's where the company was based, and
Yeah.
I think we had 6 airplanes at that time, 5 or 6. But they would take 1 airplane a year and completely restore it,
Oh wow.
and they would start at the end of the season, and they would finish it up about halfway through the next season.
Yeah.
And then they bring it out on the road, and so they just kept them in rotation that way, and then they added a few more. I think the most we had at one time was 8.
Okay.
And we had like a dozen pilots at one time.
Wow.
But some were part-time, but the great thing about it was that they just sent us out to the desert and threw money at us. And it said, fly, fly, fly. The ride program, this was the main thing, is OJT. I mean, we would get all our training out there as much as we were ready for, and you worked with every pilot in the squadron, worked with you. And teaching us formation aerobatics, work on our aerobatics, and make sure we're doing stuff right. And then we'd hit the road, and you may not even be up to formation aerobatics yet. You just all the formation stuff we did, and the radio communications, the sign language we used to communicate. By halfway through the first season, you would be doing formation loops.
Oh, okay.
And we taught everybody to fly in every position in the formation, so everybody was swapping out. And 2/3 of the way through the first season, I got to thinking, we're doing kind of a lot of rides here. I wonder how many. How can I ballpark it? I said, well, let's just say some days are ferry days or half ferry days, that kind of thing. But mostly we do just a full ride day, which is 12 rides a day. So I figured, let's just say 100 days. Like, that's 1,200 rides.
Oh wow.
Yeah. and those rides were doing the whole profile of our syllabus, really.
Yeah.
We would take off in formation, go out, do a formation maneuver, break off, do 2 or 3 individual maneuvers, and then you needed to expedite rejoining or you would be left behind.
Oh.
Because the guy that's leading has usually been there. He's on his 1,000th one of the year or whatever, but I think we were doing them every 40 minutes at first. By the time you get them in, give them a good experience and all that, then you get a short break afterwards. And so, they would try to get back quickly to make the most of everything else. That and to not get them sick. Yeah. The longer you have them out there, man, it's...
I'm sure you got thrown up on before, huh?
A few times, yes. I got some good stories too. But
you got to tell us at least one.
We didn't.
Tell us at least one.
We did not try. Look, we've had people say, "Oh, you're going to get them sick." And I'm like, look, that is not our goal here.
Yeah.
Y'all had side bets saying who's going to get somebody sick. Huh?
I don't know that we ever did that. Maybe on 1 or 2 particular occasions, but it wasn't like they were trying.
Right.
Everybody was trying not to, because it was a lot of work to clean up and but it happened, and but you learn how to avoid it as much as you can. The main thing was making the ride as short as possible.
Yeah. Get them back as fast as you can.
But if you were doing that schedule for, 3 years, you should be well above proficient.
Yeah.
You should be one of the top pilots in the country. If you're not, then you probably move on.
Go
pick
find something else to do. Yeah.
And it was very rare at that point to have attrition on the airshow part of the team, and those folks were there pretty much as long as at least when I started.
Yeah.
And so we had one guy that was retiring, and I had not had a stellar few years. My first year was good for the most part, but not. It didn't come up to the level of some of the other folks that were there, and so I didn't expect it. But they looked at everything, and the pilots made the decision, and it wasn't. I guess I shown
enough
just enough in the last 6 months before they decided it, and so I ended up on the team after my fourth year performing, and so I was there for 12 years till that program shut down.
So what kind of planes were they flying?
Flying Boeing Stearmans with a Pratt & Whitney 450s on them, 985 cubic inches.
Okay. So they don't do that anymore. They shut it down, you said?
No, the program shut down at the end of 2007, which was in the run up to the housing collapse.
Oh, okay.
The Red Baron Pizza was a small part of a much larger corporation. Schwann's Ice Cream. It's actually Schwann Sales, which they were into all kinds of different businesses, and they had like 4 or 5 frozen pizza companies. Not just Red Baron, and so they had some smart people there that could see what was coming, and they shut down a bunch of different programs across the corporation to prepare for it. I gave them warning. It's like, you don't just put this thing back together when you do this. There's way too much, knowledge, just experience here that this program runs on.
Yeah.
And it takes a while to build that back up, And
all the practicing and everything.
Oh, yeah. And also the culture is really built up from scratch. It's if to kind of give you a picture of it, look at the original NASCAR drivers. Their culture. And what you've got now, which is a lot of, they're good drivers, but a lot of them are second generation. Almost all of them came from money. Somebody was paying them to go out and crash every week. I can think of 1 or 2 of them that's like, I could, I could be good at that if somebody kept paying me to go out and crash for the first 3 years, and run everybody into the walls and tear up cars. It's like, but if you can get that kind of experience for about 3 years, you ought to be pretty good at it.
Yeah.
That's my number, 3 years.
3 years.
It's funny, with all the people we trained and everything, they came from different backgrounds, different experience levels, and it just seemed like, it wasn't that it weren't good, but no matter how much or how little they flew, it just seemed like at 3 years, something clicked.
Oh, okay.
And they just went to the next level. It was muscle memory. It was intuition, and you just see them smoothly handle everything that's coming at you. The Stearman, that airplane, the way it was set up, we had servos on the ailerons. It had 4 ailerons instead of the original 2, and so it had a higher roll rate, but the servos weren't balanced, and so if you get into turbulence, it would
it'd shake.
It would it'd be ratcheting on you. And so the wings would rock, and you were just in constant motion and responding to it. If you've ever done Dutch rolls, and gotten okay with them, it suddenly clicks. It's like, it's anticipation. And so, you're actually putting in the input, and then you're getting that smooth response, that blended response that makes it smooth. It's the same thing. It's like you hit all the bumps and you respond to them. The thing about information, you see, once you got past your fear, that's the thing. You had to untrain yourself from everything you were taught. Don't get close. And so it's kind of difficult getting close early on. But once you overcame that, then you started automatically flying closer. And the closer you get, the easier it is to recognize, because you're going through the same air they're going through.
Yeah.
So the lead airplane. So when lead airplane does something, then you respond to it.
What's the closest y'all get?
With those airplanes, it was pretty regular. We get within 3 or 4 feet of each other. These airplanes, occasionally we get within 3 feet of each other, but for the most part, in the T6, it's about 5 to 9 feet.
Still, that's crazy.
Average.
When y'all are practicing, you're watching the lead pilots, whatever the lead pilot does, right?
Right.
You're not even looking ahead of you. You're watching that one pilot or that lead plane.
Yeah, you take in whatever you can, and you learn how to multitask, kind of share your senses. What happens is you use references to set the right positioning that you want. And so I'll line up the trailing edge of the aileron with the exhaust stack on the right side of the airplane. And when I'm flying on the right side, left side, it's something else. But and then you also kind of have a way of lining up the tail on your wing, and so you see that spacing, and that gives you an idea that you're in the right place. So you learn that. And then over time, you just develop a sight picture for it. So you're just flying to that sight picture.
Okay.
And you recognize when you're off that sight picture, and that's where your corrections come from.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so, and you tend to eventually automatically adjust for that. Now the only difference is we do twilight shows and night shows as well. And something to learn there is that in the darker it gets, it goes from 3-dimensional to 2-dimensional. You see, your picture goes to 2-dimensional. And so your depth perception kind of goes away. So then you have to start cross-checking with your references again and do it that way. Like, well, how close am I?
Yeah.
But
that's not a good question to be asking.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you should always be, self-evaluating. And, sometimes that happens where you go, wait a minute, Yeah. It's like you just develop the sense for the sight picture and all that. When you're driving, you don't look at the lines.
Right.
Unless it's an unusual line. But, you're just driving between them. And you're looking at other things. You're looking for things that are out of place, something stopped, something going the other way.
So after the Red Baron, they shut the program down, and then you ended up getting with they were the Aeroshell team at the time, right?
Right. So the program shuts down at the end of the year, and then, we all move on. And then I get a call in January. They have left 4 of the airplanes in Lakeland, Florida, which is where we had been doing. By that time, we were doing our winter training there out of Lakeland. Had been doing it there for a couple of years. And so the airplanes were in the hangar down there, and they needed to get them back to Minnesota. Little oversight.
Yeah.
And so they... And they also had a few people that they kind of owed favors to. So they wanted us. So they hired me as a contractor and the old chief of maintenance, or the chief of maintenance that I don't know if he was still working for the company or not, but really, really sharp guy. He had actually was the first mechanic there.
Oh, really?
With the program when they had just a couple of airplanes. And then he had worked his way up to where he was actually on an airshow team, performing.
Yeah.
And then he got sick of the road and all that kind of stuff. And so he quit and went and was working for his family's crop dusting business up there. Then we ran into a situation where we needed a new chief of maintenance, and we had some things that really needed to be straightened out in the paperwork and with the airplanes and all that to make sure we were legal. And somebody suggested him, and everybody's like, yeah, he's the right guy, And so they hired him back. But anyhow, he was a great chief of maintenance, got a lot of stuff done. And then, so he and I went down and gave some rides and ferried the airplanes back to Minnesota in January.
Okay.
No, January. Yeah, end of January, beginning of
And this is 07.
February.
Or no, this would be 08, huh? Or 07?
This was 08.
Okay.
And I had still had friends at Sun and Fun, and I ran into them when I was in Lakeland to let me network. Mm-hmm. They set me up with a car and a room for the week at Sun and Fun.
Oh, okay.
And so, I went around and talked to different people, and I went by and talked to the Red Baron team. I'd known them some of them for a number of years, and all of them at least for a short time.
So you said the Red Baron or Titan?
Aeroshow.
So I was with that's right. Yeah,
the Aeroshow team.
Yeah.
I was talking to them, and they were supportive. I thought, well, Gene's getting close to retirement age. We probably need a backup. We just never had one. And so we really ought to get one. So stay in touch. And you can come out and maybe fly with us, that kind of stuff. Well, also made connections with a few other people, did some ferry jobs and stuff like that. One of the people I got connected to was Carol Pilon, who's a Canadian wing walker who owns her own airplane.
Okay.
And she may have been the first one to do that, as a wing walker, own her own airplane and hire pilots. I got checked out and was flying with her to some shows, and it was like the first or second show. She says, "Hey, I got a call from these guys up in Canada," and I knew who she was talking about, and it said they might have us have a movie for us to work on. I'm like, okay. Really?
Ooh, that's cool.
So that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And so it all worked out. Next thing I knew, it was June, and we went to Canada for 3 days. Worked 3 different locations, I think, and on a film called Amelia, about Amelia Earhart.
Oh, okay.
It was Hilary Swank, and we did all this beautiful work. And it
they cut y'all out
air to air and ground to air, and it was great. And went to see it, with some friends. Like, all right, let's go see. And sure enough, they took like a couple of different shots and layered them into the background of other shots. No. And that was all they used. It's like, okay. So first lesson about the movie business. And there's several reasons for it, but that's just the way it ended up. However, if you buy the DVD,
here we go.
You can see the uncut
during the loop
that
plays while they're letting you choose what you want to watch. They got a beautiful shot of us there.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We'll have to get the DVD then.
Yeah, we got to get the DVD. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. That's right.
I apparently did well overseas because I had a hard time finding it here, but and it got TV play and now streaming and all that. I'm sure it's doing. So I still get $14 residual checks.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm happy.
That's good. Yeah.
But so that was a big deal. And then in July, Alan Henley, who was the president, co-founder of the Aeroshell team, or the North American Aerobatic Team, that was sponsored by Aeroshell. He had an accident at home and was paralyzed in July. And so they were around. I was kind of like, I knew these guys, and it's like I kind of wanted to, I didn't know them well enough to really pick up the phone per se, and I didn't want to look like an ambulance chaser. Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, I just got to bite my lip, but I mean, the thing was, I wanted to chat. I wanted to find out what was going on, and is he okay? Is he going to? In early August, G. McNeely called me and said, "Hey, look, this thing's going to be longer term than we hoped." He said, "So we're talking to a few people." He said, "We'll give you a call, and we'll see. Maybe you come out and come to some shows, hang out with us, and who knows, if it works out, you might even do a show or two by the end of the season." Okay, sounds good. So September came along. Gene goes out to Reno for air racing, but they had a break. The Aeroshell team had a break during September while he was doing that. And so they called me up and said, "Hey, come out." I went to Birmingham, and then we went to this ranch. I met up with Mark and Alan, made sure Alan was ready to kind of hand the keys over, So I started training with Mark out there, and then we went to Steve's place in Tallulah, and he evaluated me. And I got my T6 aerobatic card.
Okay.
And then they interviewed me.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure you could fly first.
Well, the thing is that International Council of Airshows came up with a rule, and actually on behalf of the FAA, but that no conflicts of interest. Mm-hmm. And so if they just hired me, then we'd have to find somebody else to evaluate me.
Oh, okay.
So, it was not the ideal situation at the time. And so they checked me out in the airplane and evaluated me, and they said, "Okay, now let's interview." So I flew for them, and by then I had learned the routine. I flew the routine, and they picked me up. And so from the time I got there to the first show was 6 days.
Wow.
And we went and did a 3-ship show, and it just took off from there. And 18 years went by like that.
Oh, yes. But they changed their name to the Titan team, right? Or had a different sponsor.
We had been doing some shows for being sponsored by a company, or the gentleman that owned a large fuel company, and providing all kinds of aviation fuels. Mm-hmm. And he's out of South Carolina, and we'd gotten to know him and his family pretty well. And he said, if you guys ever get tired of that, and it's like, well, look, we got pretty good loyalty with these guys. They've treated us good, but there were some things that were starting to change. Shell as a company is changing too. And so it was going to start impacting us. Yeah. And we were like, we're still loyal, and we've been with them this long. We don't know how much longer we're going to be doing the shows. Yeah. Or this show. And so we'll just stick with them. Well, then we had a meeting, and things were really looking different than what we expected. And we were waiting for a renewal, a contract renewal. And some of the terms were just not like, let's call Buddy, Yeah. And so we got a hold of Buddy and said, "Hey, you need to put something together, because we're kind of, on the fence with these guys." And he put together a better program for us. And that's Titan Fuels. And it was an easy choice. So, and he paid to paint the airplanes and everything.
That's only been a couple of years now, right?
Yeah. So we, how long has it been?
I don't know. I remember
this is our second year with Titan on the airplanes.
Yeah, because I remember y'all going to Rocking on the Runway and being Aero Show.
Yeah.
And then the next year it was Titan.
Yeah. You remember I told you that when I was talking to Earl Cherry, I said, well, I know where I can get some. I don't have any Stearman time, but I know where I can get some.
Yeah.
And that happened to be a gentleman here in town, Shannon Elliott.
Yeah.
And Shannon has a nice grass strip up north. Back then he didn't. He was just working for his uncle and living down here in Youngsville or close to Youngsville, Broussard. It was fortuitous to reconnect with him because he loves having the airplane around. I'd been commuting to Alabama, for the first several years that I worked for this team and picking up the airplane out there. I'd drive 6 hours from here to go the middle of nowhere, Alabama. And, their ranch is out there. And and I'd pick up the airplane, do maintenance out there, that kind of stuff. And a few years back, can't remember how long ago it was, he started letting me keep the airplane in his hangar. And I have to work it off once in a while, but but he's been really good to me. Well, that's the guy that taught me how to fly the Stearman.
Okay.
And that Stearman, he still has it.
Yeah. He has, how many planes does he have?
35 years ago. I'm not really sure. He's got 2 or 3 Stearmans. I think he's got 3 Stearmans.
Okay.
And he's got a T6. He's got an L-19. He's got a Baron. And that's what I regularly see in the hangar out there. He may have 1 or 2 others, or at least partial ownership. Oh, he does have partial ownership in the Mustang.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I know they keep that one in Opelousas.
Right. And he bought that Mustang from the Henley brothers, who I work for.
Okay.
And so, we've been a 4-ship for a long time. Had a strange experience at the beginning of the Titan program where Mark had surgery on his knee and then in January, and then he got up the next day and one side of his body was numb.
Oh.
And he goes down and like, well, you're not having a stroke. And let's have a look inside. They did a CT and he had a meningioma, a brain tumor.
Oh, wow.
The size of a lemon.
Jeez.
In the middle of his head. Like, oh, great. So that brought us to 3. And we tried one replacement, but there's just not enough time to spin him up and all that. And we spent a lot of money on it. And then our sponsor said, hey, look, like, I don't need a 4-ship. Yeah. He said, I like the 3-ship just as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so now we're a 3-ship, and just.
Yeah, I think this year y'all did just the 3 of y'all, huh?
Yeah.
Year before.
Yeah, I'd like to get back to a 4-ship, but it's just difficult to put it together. My teammates, the owners, have planned to sundown the program at the end of next year.
Oh, okay.
And so, with just that little bit left, they're not really interested in trying to get used to somebody new.
Yeah.
I know some people that could do it, but I don't know. They're really good, but I don't know if their personalities might not clash with my
that's
teammates.
A big part of that too. I'm sure.
It's a huge thing that this team has always looked for, and that's why they said to me, like, come to the shows, hang out, maybe fly with us a little bit. And they just wanted to see that was a main priority. It was like, you kind of live together.
Yeah.
It's bad enough you live together, but you got to critique each other. Yeah. So you need somebody that's not thin-skinned, but sensitive enough that they're going to respond. Yeah. And sensitive enough that they're going to interact with you and call you on stuff, but at the same time, and that's been the great thing about this team is no matter how tense any of the day, which very few were that tense during a day, we get in a car, driving home at the end of the day and just make each other laugh.
Yeah.
That's
scary. It's good.
We all thrive on that sense of humor.
Yeah.
Any crazy stories?
Crazy stories? Oh man, I don't
Close
know.
calls or moments you were like, wow.
Yeah, it's funny with Red Baron. There used to be some automatic answers to questions. People would just quip. Have you ever had a close call? Oh, we almost landed in Dry County once. Stuff like that. Yeah. But we've had some close calls. We've done formation IFR, and I did a fair amount of it. You have your outs, and you have it all figured out. What the plan is. If you lose sight, there's a process for that.
Would that be like something, you doing an air show and then the clouds are kind of low and y'all accidentally get in?
No, we knock wood, we haven't done. I was kind of worried about that.
Yeah.
At a show we did in New Jersey this year. We've done the show, and that show happens to say is in conflict with the show at Rockin' on the Runway.
Oh.
And so we've had some issues with that. It's like I'd much rather be here than fly
to New Jersey,
7 hours that way. And you cross that much, space, you're going to run into weather somewhere.
Yeah,
and so hopefully it's not that bad. But we've done that show several times, and about half the time we've had to deal with weather. Now the airplanes are fully equipped IFR. And but you're flying a 80-year-old single engine airplane IFR.
Yeah, sounds scary.
So I have high minimums. They're kind of VFR really. It's pretty close to it, but you do a lot of flying over the top. And
do y'all fly in formation when y'all go on a trip, or how do y'all normally do that when y'all go to?
It just depends, but long trip, it's a very loose formation.
Yeah, but
generally we just converge on a place. We don't even really coordinate that close. We know we need to get there, and if you look at FlightAware, you'll just see us converging at the same time. Like, oh, there, okay,
yeah,
and we'll make things work out. We were doing a 3-ship, and ran into a surly controller somewhere, and busy area. He vectored us. I was on wing, and he vectored us into a cell. Steve was leading. He's like, and he questioned it. He said, "I'm showing some bad echoes, in that area right there. I think there's a big." And the guy came back and fly this heading. It was still up to him, up to the pilot to say no.
Yeah.
But we flew the heading anyway. Next thing I know, it was like a washing machine.
Oh, man.
And Jimmy left immediately. I didn't have ADS-B yet.
Oh, okay. So
there was no way to keep track of me once I left.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be sure where Jimmy was in relation to us. So I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And so now we're like
getting tossed around.
Well, we kind of went to, Steve was on autopilot. He kicked the autopilot off, and we immediately gained, hundreds of feet.
Yeah.
And it kind of rolled us pretty much knife edge, pretty much 90 degrees right away. And then he corrects it. And I'm just trying to keep him in sight and keep up with it.
Yeah.
And all that muscle memory paid off. But I don't know how long it lasted, maybe 20 seconds or so, 20 to 30 seconds. Yeah. That is a long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, never again. We got out of that. Never again. And so anytime since then, I'm a lot more instinctually wary of it. And so we were at this show this year, and the ceiling just, wouldn't come up. And we're doing twilight shows. And it's like, I'm just waiting for it to undercast on us.
Yeah.
The nearest other airport was 30 miles away. It's all trees and rocks and hills and, all that, and a few lakes, but just no friendly place to land other than this 2,500, 3,000 foot runway.
Yeah.
And so it just is not comfortable. And you get, there's 4 of you. It's like, okay, it's like musical chairs. Who's not going to get down, right? But we did a show in El Salvador.
Oh.
And it was, and I can tell you when it was because of the situation. I was trying to figure out which way to go. And, do you go to Key West and then jump off to Cozumel? Cut across there, or go down follow the coast around in Mexico,
Mexico.
And so I'm talking to Jimmy about it, and we can go this way, that kind of, and the other guy that said, well, we're just going to go out of Houma. I'm like, what?
Oh, direct across the Gulf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, and I'm thinking, I'm looking at this Mexico thing, and it's like Donald Trump was about to be inaugurated, it was that time of year. It was like the week before or something, and he's talking about the wall and all that. And like, I don't know how friendly those people are going to be down there,
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about, Key West, and I kept bugging Jimmy, and he says, I'm going to go with the other guys. I'm like, all right, great. So, well, at least we'll be together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're 3.5 hours out of gliding distance from anything.
That's
really
scary going in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico.
Almost the widest part, right?
Yeah.
And then we do that twice. We get to Cozumel. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, we made it.
Sigh, relief.
We made it. Yeah.
Next leg will be over warm Caribbean water. It's kind of shallow, lots of little reefs and stuff, stuff you can get to. And so we take off, and about 30, 40 minutes of that, and then nice beach, and then some palm trees, and then some jungle, and then some mountains, then some jungle mountains, and volcanoes. I'm like, come on, man. I want to be back over the Gulf. But it was about 7.5 hours each way of exposure.
Cool. Yeah. Wow.
In these airplanes.
Yeah.
With
Golly.
not much support in between.
Yeah.
Right. And so 14 hours times 4 of exposure. The only real maintenance issue we had was Mark hit a pterodactyl while we were down there.
Don't they have some over here in Lafayette crossing the runway?
Yeah, I'm seeing more and more. And
Pterodactyl. Not the pterodactyl.
Yeah, we're going back to the Stone Age for sure.
Yeah.
We were flying wing off of a C-47 to try to, get people's attention in the area, flying over the towns and everything. And Mark and I were on right wing, and Steve and Jimmy are on the other side. Or Gene, I don't know, whoever. But, and I just see, Mark's looking closely at the C-47, trying to follow everything he was doing. And I just see this thing. Whoa. I'm like, whoa. And it hits his right wing, and so he just feels it. Whoa.
So you saw it and he didn't see it.
Oh my gosh. He never saw it. He never saw it. And but we got on the ground, and the leading edge was caved in. So fortunately, they had some pretty skilled people down there. And but that was kind of a fun trip. So
I'm kind of interested in the night flight. That's as far as doing aerobatics and stuff. You were saying that it gets a little tricky, I guess, once it starts getting darker.
I adopted the skill the habit of it's kind of like flying into the sun,
you
of
can't
just
see
squinting.
Yeah.
And that kind of averages out because you got the strobes on the lead airplane and you can't look away. But when we have originally it was like a landing light, I think, but it mounts on the side of the airplane. And now we use aero LEDs, kind of like a replacement for a landing light, really. And they're mounted on the side of the empennage, right where the smoke flows over the empennage, and so that lights up the smoke and it makes it look like the airplane's on fire at night. So
okay,
it's pretty. It's a great effect.
Yeah,
so, hey, go with it. But that thing's bright. And so when it comes on, when the smoke comes on, it comes on the same time. And so you want to kind of preserve some of your night vision by squinting, or either squinting or keeping one eye closed. You just got to know when to. You got to know when the light's coming on and going off. But
no sunglasses.
No sunglasses. That's undesirable effect. But
y'all do that show at Rockin' on the Runway usually.
Yeah, that's a great show. Well, they were doing a night show and a day show. They went to all night shows or twilight shows, and that was another thing. We do night shows. We've done them very dark, sometimes involuntarily, where they just kept dragging the schedule, and next thing we know, it's an hour after dark. It's like, and there's a 500-foot floor now for night shows, but up to civil twilight, you can do a twilight show and still fly it to the surface. Okay. And we just got tired of being terrified, doing the night show.
So y'all went and practiced at night and come up with a routine?
Well, they had already, the team, when I started with them, were already doing a night show.
Oh, okay.
And it's really the same show as the day show.
Yeah.
You just
get the lights.
Do it at night. You got the lights, right? When I started practicing with it, the last thing we did was a night show practice out at the ranch in Alabama, and I was still getting used to to that airplane, the T6. I've been flying almost strictly a Stearman for 16 years, or 19 years.
So you had to get used
and so I had to learn to remember to put the gear down. And so there's a lot of equipment I just ignored for the first 6 months. And just focused on the systems, the hydraulics, and all this other stuff. But that was the last thing we had to do. We needed to do the night show. And so we did. We actually flew it at twilight. But the ranch, so it's like, it used to be a 2,500-foot strip. They bought another 500 feet of downhill
runway
into the with narrow tree approach to it down there, but there was like one light on the place right next to the fuel farm within a mile of the runway, right? That was it. And they had reflectors on the runway and on the fences, on the barbed wire fences. And so we had been flying out there for a week, and gotten to know the place. And I was leading, and so we get done and come around, and it's like, they're asking me, can you see the runway? Can you see the runway? Yeah, I'm having trouble. And the panel lights were really working well in the airplane. So I had a flashlight.
Oh, no.
And I'd flip it on to give me some more light. They were just, the lights that were in there were just kind of dim. I'm looking, I said, no, I'm not quite seeing it. And I said, well, look, as soon as you shine your landing lights on, those reflectors will light up like fire. Like, okay. So Mark's number 2, he says, you want me to land first? And I said, yeah, why don't you do that? So I just extend the base, through the base, and he comes in behind me and goes down there and lands, rolls out to the end, and he's got all the flashing lights and everything on at the other end. And I'm like, okay, there you are. Yeah. And so I turn back in and reacquire the funnel.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, I see the hedgerow, the fences and stuff like that below me. And I can see him out there, flashlight on, flashlight off, and my eyes are going beep, 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 in and out, And then I'm coming along, and Steve's circling out at the downwind of base corner. Mark says, well, do you see him yet? And I was like, no, not yet. They're not lighting up, And I'm following the tree line in, Then a couple of times, lights on, flashlight on.
Yeah.
Look at this thing. And then I hear Steve say in his accent, I think you're a little bit to the right. And about that time, I just saw the silhouette of the trees coming up between me and Mark.
Oh, no.
So I'm on it,
Yeah.
Go around, trying to breathe, and come back around. And he said, look, I'll go to the approach end. You just land over the top of me. I'm like, all right, well, make the runway shorter, but
yeah.
Any port in a storm. And so come around, whole thing, flashlight and everything. And I got a line up on him. It's like, oh, okay. There he is.
There it is.
And
yeah.
as soon as I rolled out with the landing lights on, it was like runway lights.
Oh,
the reflectors. Like, wow, that's awesome. I got on the ground and, how long is this thing? Get stopped.
Yeah.
And then Steve comes in and lands. And it's like, shoo. Well, what I had failed to notice in the week that I'd been flying there, that the runway didn't exactly line up with the hedgerow.
Oh.
I just thought it did,
Yeah.
but it was about 5 degrees off, and that was enough to make the reflectors invisible, I'm like, well.
That's crazy.
So,
hey,
is that a close enough call for you?
Yeah, that's close.
Do you have a favorite maneuver y'all do, or you do?
The maneuver I like right now has to do with a segment where we end up in trail, basically, or just really strung out. And the lead airplane comes in and does a maneuver and does a wing over and comes back through the box and does a barrel roll. And I'm basically trying to roll with him and trail up, drop into trail behind him. I'm actually way out of the back corner of the box when he starts in. And so I'm watching his wing over and trying to time it to where I get the right spacing, and then and then just follow him through and trail. And I started working more towards rejoining with him during the roll. And so that's it's a big challenge.
Yeah.
When we were a 4-ship, Mark had been leading for many years and very consistent. So it was a lot easier to get that line. Plus, I was doing it with Steve on my wing. It was like Mark and Jimmy in close formation and Steve close on me, and then finishing the roll. And I was getting closer and closer all the time. Well, then we ended up going to the 3-ship. Now I still haven't quite gotten used to Jimmy's timing.
Gotcha.
And technique. So it's hit and miss.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's always a matter of caution. It's like, if it doesn't look right, I just fall back, but that's my favorite because I love the challenge of it. Yeah. And it's knowing that it can work out.
Yeah.
That it can work. It's not like I'm experimenting, really.
Right. Not just guessing and hoping.
Yeah. I'm just working with what the conditions are at the time, and adapting to that. I get yelled at, for spacing, from behind, because we're trying to make the spacing look consistent across the 3 airplanes. And if I end up, I don't know, I think he likes it when I get joined up I'm talking about Steve, who's behind me. I think he likes it when I get joined up in that maneuver real quick. But when we're doing a lot of in-trail stuff, if I'm not flying at with the spacing we had the day before, he gets all uptight.
How often do y'all? What's y'all's season for shows? Do y'all have a season, or y'all?
If you don't go out of the country, for the United States, the season generally runs from March. There occasionally somebody will do a show in February, but it's generally from March through November. And we've ended up with the last 2 shows of the season in like the last week of November and the first week of December. And we end up at Key Largo. There's an event down there. It's they celebrate vintage airplanes and boats and cars.
Okay.
And the place that we go to, Ocean Reef Club, there's...
Oh, I've heard of this.
If you if you don't own something there or have a reason to be there, they don't want you on the ramp. The ramp is there's not much ramp space. And so there's big jets coming there. It's not that big a runway. Yeah. And it's always kind of interesting.
It's like a private strip, like a...
It's a big resort area, but people live there. People own their houses there and everything, but it's kind of private.
I was thinking, Marathon whenever you said Key Largo. I was thinking the Marathon Airport.
Yeah.
But
I don't even think the frequencies published, but
yeah.
Like you gotta be invited to get the frequency, right?
Yeah.
But it's and the way we go there and like we're there during the show, man, they roll out the red carpet for us, all that kind of thing. And then, we get done with the show. And then Sundays, it's time to leave.
Go, yeah.
It's like, you don't want to break down or anything because they're out there like, well,
they're ready for you. It's time for y'all to leave now.
It's like, you're kind of overstaying your welcome here. What happened to the, Didn't we have a limo?
Yeah.
What
happened to the limo? But, do y'all have a special time when y'all go practice? I mean, before the season starts, or
well, generally within a couple of weeks before the first show.
Okay.
We do enough flying with the shows to stay current, and the routine hasn't changed. Not much. We've changed maybe 2 things since we became a 3-ship, but other than that, the show hadn't changed in 20 years.
Yeah. So y'all know it pretty good.
The routine. So we try to do some flying during the off season, but as far as preparing for the next season, we usually wait till a couple of weeks before and we get together. And the 3 of us all live in Louisiana. The other 2 live close together within an hour of each other up northeast Louisiana, Tallulah. Jimmy lives in Monroe.
Yeah.
But he keeps his airplane at Tallulah. I just fly up there. It's about 45 minutes and we can do it there.
Practice, yeah.
Yeah. Plus I can fly with the local folks here.
Yeah.
And
Shannon's
doing airshows now. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that he was doing them. What kind of training's involved in that? Like if he said he wanted to, like when he got started or when you got started doing the aerobatic stuff, I mean, other than you were part of a team.
So like Jimmy's a good example. I mean, when I started with him, I just had the right experience to just jump in and do it. And they asked me, well, where do you want to fly? I said, hey, man, you need a lead pilot. I said, I got the experience, but what makes sense to me is that I can go out and easily keep the airplane in the box at show center and fly smooth. And then all you guys got to do, while I'm figuring it out, all you guys got to do is what you've been doing for 20 years. Yeah. The same, fly your own positions and make me look good, And so, I led for the first year and a half. Gene decided he needed a 5-way bypass in 2010. And so I flew slot for that season.
Okay.
And that's when we brought Jimmy in as lead, and he flew lead the whole season.
Okay.
And then when Gene came back, he got his medical back at the end of the year. They kicked Jimmy to the curb. But yeah, he still came out and did rides with us and flew with us whenever he could. And it became the evolution. And when he wasn't flying with us, he did do some air shows in his yak.
Okay.
With a yak air show team. So he had some other flying. And he's been flying aerobatics and form. I don't know how much formation he'd been flying before that, but he'd definitely been flying aerobatics since he was young. If you can picture Jimmy, big Jimmy in a pit. But
so most of y'all have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And,
so for somebody to come in here, ideally they would have, some formation and some aerobatic experience and hopefully
where would you
formation.
get that?
Right. Well, most people
just go out and do it.
Yeah, I mean, most people learn with friends, right?
Yeah.
They're going out and doing it, and if they're hanging out with somebody that knows it. Now, the formation stuff, there's a couple of different organizations. NATA, the North American Training Association, I think, is Trainer Association. They do formation clinics, and they have formation certification that they offer that's recognized by the FAA.
Yeah.
And that's all in T6s. They have at least one clinic up in Tallulah every year. And Steve and them are part of that. And we're doing a show there this year too.
Okay.
We do a show there once in a while. They kind of alternate between that show between Tallulah and Monroe. And there's another organization, they're mostly RVs that do formation, and they're also recognized. And so it helps if they've gone through one of those programs or a military program where they've had some structured training.
Yeah.
The ACE program has a category for formation dynamic maneuvering, which means you can go beyond what's normally considered aerobatic, just steep turns and stuff like that. Otherwise, you're really not allowed to do more than just flat passes, in big formations and stuff like that. With NATA, that kind of thing.
You don't know of any aerobatic schools that do or practice other than formation?
Really, the best places you can go now. I mean, there's some aerobatic schools out there that'll teach us some stuff. Some of the best places you can go now are upset training programs.
Okay.
And they're a fairly big one out in Arizona. I think they still have a satellite base in Dallas, and there's a few others that the airlines just or anybody wants to really can go into the program and fly aerobatic airplanes, and you'll go through a full spin course. There are a handful of aerobatic schools that offer the same kind of training, except they're more focused on sport aerobatic type stuff, pretty much. There's one in Chandler, Arizona, which has been an aerobatic school forever. I did upset training there. I stole one of their pilots. Hired him at Red Baron, And then there is Patty Wagstaff has her aerobatic school.
I've heard of her.
There.
Her being it. She's in Florida, I think.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And so she's got. She just retired from Airshows at Oshkosh this year.
Okay.
And but still has that school.
Still has the school running the school.
Yep. And they'll do spin training with you in just about anything.
Yeah.
What would be the first step you'd tell somebody, if somebody here just getting their private was like, I would really like to get into
just into air shows or into, you would start at, if you can do solo air shows first, then hey, that's great. It's just one more thing that you've got, one more tool you got on your belt. You get used to the environment and the demands of the environment, the limitations, the pitfalls, things that you can fall into, different kinds of complacency. You really get exposed to thorough briefings every day. I mean, you're required to go to the airshow briefing. Every pilot's required to be there, with the exception of some of the formation teams. You only have to send a representative. The military jet teams do that. They'll send one representative, and but it coordinates everything with the show. Know what to expect, what the weather is, and different scheduling issues. Are you going to be following? Are you flying after a parachute act? Where you need to anticipate when they're going to be coming down. Like you have to stay a certain amount of distance from the target, the drop zone, before you can crank your engine. You don't want to have any propellers turning. I think it's within 1,000 feet, maybe 1,500, but at least 1,000. And then that can delay you. It's like, okay, now I got to be ready to go. How do I make all this work? What's going to be my taxi route and all that. So you work all that stuff out at the briefing. The other thing is, speaking of jumpers, if you're circling a jumper, that's another skill it seems rather benign, when you do it the first time, but there's a lot of nuance to it as far as what you got. It's more about what you have to look out for. There's actually a sign off for that as well, but you have to have a side briefing you want to get together with the jump pilot and the jumpers to make sure everybody's on the same page. Like, how many jumpers are coming out? Where are you going to be going? How spread out are you going to be? What altitude are you going to be at? And you're just trying to fly the safest thing. So there's a lot to learn by doing a solo aerobatic airshow act, just from the experience of being there. Yeah. And that makes it just flow a lot easier when you get involved with a team, that kind of thing.
And then 3 years from
3 years.
Exactly.
It takes 3 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you still have to learn the formation aerobatic skills. Somebody's going to have to spend some money, for the training. And like, if we were really looking to put something together, I mean, we would pay for our own gas. But it would be best if we train somebody with. So Jimmy's a good example in that we were able to work with him a little bit. He already had some experience, but we worked with him on his formation aerobatics. And then we normally do some rides at Sun and Fun and Oshkosh with our internal customers, there's sponsors.
Yeah.
Jimmy joined us with that after a certain amount of training. I mean, it was basically like that Red Baron program, right?
Yeah.
And we'd give him a certain amount of training, make sure he's safe, and then he can come out and do those rides with us. And so that's basically what he did for a year before he got pressed into service as lead. Then after that, he kind of went back to doing the same thing. He'd come fly with us whenever we were doing shows and do these rides and stuff. Once you've shown proficiency, well, then it's just about getting better at it.
Yeah,
just repetition.
Yeah, just practicing.
So if you got good friends, recommend getting an economical airplane that'll do it. The Stearman is always a good. Well, the 450 Stearman was always a good platform.
All right, Ryan.
It's a bit more challenging than the 220s.
Get you a Stearman.
Oh yeah, a Stearman. Yeah. We had one in the hangar for a while when I first moved in. That was John Fallis and.
Oh yeah, one of the best things you can do is get an airplane that'll fly upside down and do some upside down flying.
Yeah.
You know, inverted turns.
Can you do that anywhere?
You think about it, it's like you're only learning half of what the airplane will do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
You got to relearn everything upside down.
Yeah. Now I'm pretty sure this is true. That if you take a shark and turn them upside down, they go into a
Don't know how to swim.
days.
Yeah.
It's like their system shuts down, their nervous system shuts down, and they're just kind of inert.
This isn't right.
Until you turn them back over, because they're just completely disoriented.
Yeah.
And they work on gravity, and so you're basically the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
If you don't experience the now, you don't have to go do Kevin Coleman stuff where every half of your show is outside pushes on the deck.
Yeah.
Ryan, you got to start another course where it's upside down flying.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, look, if you added it probably wouldn't be too hard to add an upset training program here. You just got to find the right people to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and an airplane.
Yeah.
Most of that stuff they do with extras. You know, something that's hard to break.
Yeah.
For a while, the air combat thing was a big deal. You know.
Yeah.
They have like lasers or something, and so a target, and so the computer would know when the target was hit.
That's pretty cool.
And,
It's like a video game.
Oh yeah. And but some of those, a couple of them became disastrous, and
Oh no.
the T6 has an AD on it for the wing attach angles.
Oh,
That's
does it?
actually a pretty limiting. Every 200 hours, you have to inspect the wing attach angles.
Oh,
And now they
for
came out.
cracking for
They came out with an AMOC, which is alternate method of compliance.
Yeah.
Where every 200 hours, but you have to buy the AMOC. It's like buying an STC, right?
Yeah.
And so you can every 1,000 hours, you have to inspect the whole attach angles, which go all the way around the wing, right?
Yeah.
So there's like 180 bolts, and
Yeah.
and then you got to take those out, basically demate the wing, and do a dye penetrant inspection.
Oh.
Or you can do a eddy current inspection. Pay for that, and the main advantage of that is that you don't have to strip all the paint off. But every 200 hours, for us, that's a little more than a year.
Yeah.
Or depending on how busy we are or how far we're flying that year. I went to El Salvador, got to do another inspection. But it's labor intensive.
Yeah, I bet. So are you a mechanic too?
I wouldn't call myself that.
Not officially a mechanic.
I work under other people's supervision.
Yeah.
And
you don't have the certificate.
I actually have the signed receipts. I didn't realize that when I got hired at Red Baron, they were pretty much pilot, screwdriver bad. Like get away. Like so. Anyway, they don't want us messing with the airplanes, and they had very talented maintenance crew.
Yeah.
So, and they followed us around. So there was no need to. And I had really kind of burnt myself out on it. But I did pass the writtens. I just kind of left it behind. And before I took my practical. And what kind of held me up from getting the practical was like one or two skills. I was like, I've never,
Yeah.
I'm not a welder. I need to get some welding experience first. I didn't want to go and fail, right?
Yeah.
And then some other stuff I just needed to, and I just didn't have time for it. And then got this deal. Like, okay, and I just set it all down for a long time. When I ended up with the Aeroshell team, like we do all our own maintenance.
Oh.
And everybody else is A&Ps. So,
Yeah. So you just.
So I just work under their supervision, and I'm working on it. But or people here,
Your apprentice.
Yeah. And so Shannon and I were talking about it, and Lex Sisselwaite, who's another one of our local part of that crowd up there. I said, well, I have to take the writtens over and all this kind of stuff and everything. And, my letters are expired. It's been 35 years. Something like that. So we had talked about it. It was like a few weeks or a month later, I was going through those old files. I was like, wait, what's this? I was like, oh, man. So I was already signed off to take the practical.
Oh, and you never
I never did. I have the receipts.
Oh,
like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So that now I got to go back and practice all that stuff I was worried about.
Yeah.
And then I can go and get my A&P. I've had my instructor certificate and renewed it, for the last 10 years. But I finally went out and got it. I got my ATP. But I really haven't used it. Although I did a lot of in-service, training at Red Baron. I trained a bunch of other pilots.
Yeah.
And
do you want to?
And I'd like to. One of the things that has kept me from doing it since I got my license is the fact that I don't want to start somebody. I want to work somebody start to finish.
Yeah.
I don't want to start somebody and then have to hand them off to somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to them. I had a great experience with my instructor, and I don't recall getting, at least during my private, getting instruction from anybody else. There was some casual chats, here and anecdotal stuff, but this guy with God, it's like, wow,
You could do the upset training.
Yeah. I could do that. There's a lot of other things I could do. I just haven't found the time for it. And, but eventually I'm going to have time on my hands. So I need to get my act together.
So when are y'all going to end? Like, when are y'all supposed to be done with?
It would be currently they're planning on this program ending at the end of next season. In other words, at
2026.
Yeah, at Ocean Reef in December of
that's a good ending.
2026.
At least you get to ride around a limo over there and they roll out the red carpet for you. So.
And then kick you out when they're ready for you to go.
Kick you out when you're done.
So I've got this rolling kind of thing in my mind about, what it would take to move on, whether it's worth. So a couple of different scenarios, it's like if the current team is a corporation and the principals in the corporation are Alan, who I contract to. And the deal I came up with him is that I split fees with him. And that gives me a somewhat of an income, and I can fill in the gaps doing other stuff. I did some government contracting for a while. So it's Alan and then the other 3 pilots. And the way the corporation set up is like, well, you have to be one of the pilots. And if you cease to be one of the pilots, then you have to sell to somebody else.
Okay.
And so it's always those 4. That's the conditions of the corporation. And but they made an exception for Alan because of this accident. That, and he was the president of the company and founder, kind of thing. And so, but Jimmy bought out Gene when Gene retired.
Okay.
And so he's a partner. So. One scenario would be that, they change everything. We find new pilots and we fill out the team, pilot wise.
Yeah.
And they all negotiate whatever terms they want with each individual, because each airplane is its own corporation.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So each member could negotiate their, whatever their terms might be, or they could just lease the airplane to whoever the pilot would be. Yeah, that's one scenario. Another one would be, forming a new team, a new corporation, and trying to pick up the sponsors. That would be, it's not just Titan. we've got
Yeah, if you have a bunch of
we've got a
different.
When I started, we had about 40 different sponsors.
Okay.
And now I think it's probably about 30 to 35.
Is there? I guess
most of them are equipment sponsors.
I'm assuming that Titan's probably the biggest money sponsor, and then you kind of go down
right,
from there.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a title sponsor, and they own the wings.
Okay.
As far as advertising space,
Yeah.
they own the wings and the empennage.
Okay.
Behind the rear cockpit.
Yeah.
So what's left over, we can put stickers on for other sponsors. And we've always had a secondary sponsor, at least since I've been with them. And for many years, it was Honda generators. I mean, you see pictures of Aeroshow. And there's always people saying, "Oh, you got the Honda plane." Like, no, it's Aeroshow.
Yes,
It's it got confusing. But so they've got a fair amount of space. Now it's Aero LEDs is our secondary sponsor.
Okay.
And so they have the biggest representation on the side, and then all the others are equipment sponsors, or they just give less. And most of the stickers are 12 to 14 inches, and we've had Lincoln Electric for many years.
Yeah.
They I think the whole time they've had Lincoln. I got other stories and stuff, but I don't want to tell everything.
Yeah,
I mean, I told
we
just
can have
about
you back.
everything.
We can have you back and tell more stories.
Flight Tales, woo-woo.
If you've made it this far, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we would just like to say thank you, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about today's episode or suggestions for future episodes, just leave a comment or message us, and we'll do our best to answer. If you'd like to check out some fun aviation videos, check out our YouTube channel at Owens Flight Training. Or if you'd like to get more information on becoming a safe, knowledgeable, and confident pilot, just head over to our website, owensflighttraining.com.